what another life. You got me. I wore the pain on my face, hoping someday it would fade. You know how to wash it away. Oh, you do it. Now I wear the smile that you gave me, won't take it off if you pay me. I wouldn't say that you saved me, but the truth is, right when we met, you made me forget that my heart was ever broken. Looking at me, you wouldn't believe that my heart was ever. Before I met you, wouldn't sleep alone, but it felt like it. I moved my body, but my chest was stone. Couldn't break it. I wore the pain on my face, hoping someday it would fade. You know how to wash it away. Oh, you do it. Now I wear the smile that you gave me, won't take it off if you pay me. I wouldn't say that you saved me, but the truth is, right when we met, you made me forget that my heart was ever broken. Looking at me, you wouldn't believe that my heart was ever broken.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Offlimits show. Thanks for joining me tonight here on, what is today? Monday, October 10th, 2016. Thanks for joining me on Offlimits. If you're listening on iHeartRadio, thank you for listening. If you're listening on Spreaker.com, if you're listening on offlimitshow.com, if you're listening on iTunes, wherever you're listening, thank you. I appreciate it. It is, that, by the way, that was a new song by Adam Lambert. It's called Broken, and I don't know if he's coming out with a new album or not, but I hope he is. I love him, and he just came out with an album last year, I think, but which I have, but I don't know if it was that new or not, but I love him, and he's a great singer and performer, so let's all give it up for Adam Lambert. Anyway, tonight we're talking about whatever, but before I get to that, if you want to find out more about me, you can go to offlimitshow.com, offlimits.show.com. By the way, be sure to check me out on the Gay XYZ show with Jason and Christian on every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Central Time here in Dallas, Texas. So you can always call into this show at the same number as you can call into that show, 214-377-0481. If you want to talk to me live on the air, as I am right now, live on the air. I do the show live, always on the show live. So we're live right now. So if you want to call in, feel free. You can also call by dialing on Skype, Offlimits Show, all one word. If you want to talk to me live on the air, you can also tweet me at Offlimits Show, as well as on Facebook, Offlimits Show. And on Facebook, by the way, I have an Offlimits Show page, and then I have Offlimits Show user. So the Offlimits Show page has more information on it. Anyway, so tonight I'm talking about some things in my mind in the news and things of that nature. But first, let's talk quickly about the election, and then I'll get to the more interesting stuff for most of you. This week we had on Sunday the second debate with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton for the presidential nomination. And it was a little different than the first time in that it was, well, first of all, it was supposed to be a town hall meeting. And the town hall meetings generally and historically have been, about the people in the town hall asking questions and each candidate answering them in their way. And of course, they always take some sort of dig at each other, but it was really beyond anything that's ever happened before in political history in America because, well, first of all, they would not shake each other's hands at the beginning. They didn't even reach out to shake the other person's hand, which, of course, is very telling about the acrimonious relationship that they have with one another. And I wouldn't want to shake Donald Trump's hand either, but that was one of the first things that happened. And then throughout the whole thing, I'm sure you've seen it, those of you who are politically interested in these kind of stuff, which you should be, because if you are an American citizen, you should be interested in what's going on in our country and who you're voting for and what they stand for. For God's sakes, get out there and vote when it comes time. But one of the things is that Donald Trump was standing behind Hillary Clinton, almost lurking behind her in her camera shots, and every one that she was in. And some may say, well, she was in his sight line because she crossed over, in front of him, which she did, to speak to the members of the audience who asked her a question on that side. And that's fine. But it seemed I don't know if it was the way it was being shot or if he was deliberately doing it, which he probably was. But it was just creepy and weird, and as he is, and he was sort of lording over her in the frame, the TV screen frame, from behind her as she was speaking. Anyway, it was a little weird and eerie. And of course, he brought up several things and took a lot of low blows toward her during the debate, if you want to call it that. One of which was he said that he stated that Bill Clinton essentially, or insinuated rather, that Bill Clinton had actually raped a 12-year-old girl, which is completely untrue. And it's been proven not to be true. But also that Bill Clinton, had raped these other women and assaulted them and whatever, Paula Jones and those sorts of people, whatever. And maybe he did. I don't know. He probably did, when he was the governor of Arkansas and whatever. Obviously, we all know Bill Clinton's a huge horn dog, so it's quite possible he did that kind of thing and was viewed as assault, and maybe he used pressure or his influence in order to get them to do these things. I don't know. I doubt that he would have to, but whatever the case is, I think that he probably did those things. But the whole point to me is it's not about Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton is not running for president again. He is not running for the presidency. His wife is. And it makes no sense to me other than to try, of course, and try to conflate Hillary Clinton with Bill Clinton and the things that he did, and try to discredit her through her husband's actions. Other than that, there's no reason to actually bring him up, and so that's why they're bringing him up. They really have nothing else against her other than the emails they keep talking about and her being a liar and all these sorts of things. And I don't know, maybe she did erase the emails on purpose. I don't know. But basically, Hillary Clinton would have to come to my house and try to murder me before I would not vote for her over Donald Trump. I mean, there's really nothing that the woman could do. I don't care how bad people think she is or how bad she may be or how horrible a person people seem to deem her to be. Before I would ever vote for Donald Trump, she would have to really basically try to fucking kill me. So I don't think, even then I wouldn't vote for Donald Trump. I would still probably vote for her, honestly. So I don't even understand how, the other thing that's so annoying to me is that this group of people that were here at this debate in Ohio, I think it was, they say that they always choose people for the town halls who are quote unquote undecideds. Now, maybe I can understand you would be undecided maybe in a debate between Barack Obama and John Kerry or whoever the fuck he ran against. I can't even remember. Not John Kerry, Mitt Romney, whoever it was. Even though I would never vote for a Republican, but just saying, if you are on the fence and you're an independent, and you don't really ascribe to a particular party, then perhaps that you would be torn between those two candidates because you really want to understand where they're coming from and what they're going to do for you, whatever. Okay, fine. However, when it comes to Hillary Clinton and to Donald Trump, there is such a huge disparity in personality, temperament, belief system, ideology, the platforms they have. Everything is almost completely opposite in many ways anyway, from the other candidate. So to be torn between these two candidates makes no sense to me. It means you either aren't paying attention or you're a complete moron, because how can you be torn between two candidates that are so fucking completely different? Either you fall on this side or that side. And if that's the case, then you have no fucking, you stand for nothing. Because what the fuck are you torn about? I mean, really? A man who is a completely disgusting human being, who said and offended so many people, everyone from Muslims to gays to Jews to blacks to Hispanics to religious people, every single fucking person he's offended, and not just once, many times, and has promised to basically get rid of the gay rights that we've gained and fought so hard for over specifically the past 10, 12, 15 years to gain in this country, specifically gay marriage and things like that, and to overturn that. And for people who to still be voting for him, I don't understand that. Now, if you are someone who is gay, by the way, and you probably are listening to the show, but if you're someone who's gay and you have someone in your circle of friends or your family that is voting for Donald Trump, or say they're going to vote for Donald Trump because he's conservative or they're conservative or whatever, I feel really bad for you, because for me, as I said, this election is completely different in so many ways from previous elections, in that number one, ideologically they're completely different and completely different people, whatever. But also, there's so much at stake, and Hillary Clinton said this herself many times and made this a point, and she's right about there's so much at stake in this particular election and for our future as Americans, because we have to install 2 new Supreme Court justices, possibly 3, and we are going to have to determine the trajectory of our country's civil rights and the way things are decided in this country for the next 20, 30 years, at least. And also decisions about, of course, education and healthcare and all these sorts of things. I mean, she said all these things because she's smart and has noted that herself many times. And she's right. And so this election is different in that, and not only that, but we have 2 candidates, one who doesn't say the kind of things that Donald Trump does and one who doesn't. And yet people still somehow want to vote for him and his belief system. I mean, he almost is, in many ways, like Hitler. I've said this before, and people always use Hitler as an example, and they go to him as an extreme example. When people who hate someone, like people used to say that about Obama or about Bush or whomever. And the truth is, Obama and Bush were nothing like Hitler, really. But Donald Trump is, and he is in that his ideology and his fascism in a lot of ways, and the way he thinks about running this country, or says he's going to run it anyway. Of course, you never know what he's really fucking going to do. And his demonization of Muslims in this country and gays to some degree, and other people, blacks, whatever, Mexicans in this country, is very similar to how Hitler rose to power, and what things he says he's going to do, and get rid of the cabinet, and just all this kind of shit. So, and he has a totalitarian kind of feel to him. And so when people say that he is someone like Hitler, they're not too far off. He kind of is in a lot of ways. And it's scary that people would allow someone like this to rise to that office. And if it does happen that he becomes president, which for God's sakes, I don't even want to even think about what that would mean for us as a country. I mean, I truly believe that if Donald Trump became president of this country, our country would never be the same ever again. We would fall out of favor with the entire the entire Earth, entire world, as well as the fucking universe, if there are other planets out there with fucking aliens. We would be completely obliterated in every way, financially eviscerated. We would be our prestige in the country and other countries, around the world. our military power, everything would be fucked up because this man would fuck it up for us. And so it is very frightening. And so, of course, I could go on and on and on and on, and I probably would, about how much I can't fucking stand Donald Trump. But anyway, the debate itself was, as has also been noted and said, and we thought this the other night too, like a Real Housewives reunion show on Bravo or something, because it really was a lot of insults hurled back and forth between the two candidates. And Donald Trump specifically was acting very badly and poorly and not statesman-like at all, and not, and the guy's obviously never been in a debate, in a true debate. He obviously is, an egomaniac and all that stuff, and so maybe that's why, because he always assumes he's right about everything. But, I was in debate in high school. I was very good at debate. I loved debate, and it was fun, and I was good at it, and I always got praises from the judges and things like that. And I was good at making my arguments back and forth, and I was planning to be an attorney and all that stuff at the time before I realized that I had too much heart to be one. What was I going to say? I'm sorry. But he's obviously never been in a debate, and how in the format of a debate, I mean, it's like he's never even fucking watched one. And there's a certain sense of reverence you have for your opponent, if you want to call them that, in a debate, and a certain sense of respect you give them, whether it's someone you completely disagree with or you agree with or whatever. You don't do the things he's done, and he's just a low brow human being. I mean, truthfully, he has no class and no sense of reverence or anything for just the human condition. I mean, the man is just disgusting. I mean, I never liked him anyway, but the fact that he has really let his true colors finally shine, especially in this last debate, one, the first one too, but specifically this last one, I mean, he really is a disgusting human being. And if you were going to vote for Donald Trump, then fuck you. Fuck you and anyone else that's going to vote for him, because you're going to fucking fuck this country up. And I've never ever said that about any candidate. Even George Bush Jr., I couldn't fucking stand him. I never said that he's going to destroy this country. I was worried about him taking us, out of favor with the world, although he did that anyway, of course, which we didn't predict. But I'm just saying that it's not something I expected him to do. But this man, I feel, truthfully, that he will fuck up this country so bad. So just fucking vote for Hillary, for God's sakes. Please vote for Hillary. Don't waste your vote on Jill Stein or Gary Johnson, whatever the fuck his name is. Just don't, because you're just going to fucking waste your vote. Vote for the fucking non-Trump person that is going to win if you vote for them, which would be Hillary Clinton. You may not like Hillary Clinton that much, but she's got things about her I don't like that much either. But overall, she's definitely fucking qualified. Yes, she's a politician, but once you're in politics, you're a fucking politician, no matter what fucking Donald Trump says. So, that's what I wanted to say about that. Okay, so anyway, having said that, I wanted to talk about, what happens when you're LGBT and your family is voting for Trump, or your family's conservative or whatever. And there's an article about this on the Huffington Post, where this guy is talking about his mother is voting for Donald Trump, and so is his father, and about what that means for him and whatever. And so I want to talk about that as well. And I wanted to say that that's one of the reasons I can't stand to even be around people who are going to vote for him. It's not just because we have a political difference of opinion, because it's far more than that and deeper than that, as I've explained. It is the fact that, and I've said this about George Bush and everyone else before him who was anti-gay or voted against gay rights and whatever, if you vote for someone who is against gay rights and you're voting against me, I hold my civil liberties extremely important to myself and to our community. And unfortunately, there are even gay people who are voting for Trump, which is another fucking crazy story and ridiculous. But the majority of people who are voting for him are not. And the people who are voting for him generally don't like gay people or don't approve of gay people or whatever the case may be. And therefore, they want to keep someone in there who's going to reflect their values, if you want to call them values. So, which is just bigotry, basically. So when people are voting for him, you are essentially saying, fuck all of you homosexuals, fuck you immigrants, fuck you people who are on Obamacare, or fuck you people who want to go to college without having to pay an exorbitant amount. Fuck you people who want to refinance your student loans. Fuck everyone who is not a white, heterosexual, Anglo-Saxon Protestant male. with a lot of money. Fuck all those people. And because that's what you're saying, basically, when you vote for Donald Trump, you say fuck everybody but people like him. And what's so ridiculous about it is that people continue to vote for him against their own self-interest, just like they did with George Bush Jr., Walker W., whatever his fucking name is. I think they actually think somehow that this wealthy man, and this happens all the time, and it's like some weird halo effect or something, is going to take care of them and their needs because he is an outsider. He's a Washington outsider. He's a businessman and blah, blah, blah. Well, a businessman does not particularly make a good politician necessarily because a businessman's motivation is to make money, just like a corporation's motivation is to make money. And to be a good politician, you have to have motivation. Your motivation has to be humanity and that what's good for everyone and what's good for the country or your community or your city or state or whatever. That's what makes a good politician. That is what makes a good politician. And that is not Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a completely egocentric, self-centered moron. And so because of that, he is not going to give a fuck about people who are poor in Alabama or Mississippi or wherever they might be, because he is not having any interest or doesn't give a fuck about what they need. He only gives a fuck about what's good for him. If they can't help him, he's not going to help them. Therefore, he as a politician is not good for this country as a whole. And we've proven that trickle-down economics doesn't work. We know this. I mean, since Reagan, it doesn't work. It fucked up our economy, and it fucked up the middle class like royally because all the fucking wealth ended up going where? To the very top, and that's where it is now. And sucked it all up from the middle class like a fucking Hoover and, dumped it out up there, all loads of cash with 1%, basically. And that's why our country is so fucked up right now fiscally. So in order to fix that, we have to focus on the middle class. And Hillary Clinton said this as well, which is why I loved her speech the other night. We have to focus on the middle class and keeping the middle class, relevant and taking care of their needs and that sort of thing, because the middle class is where it's at in this country. If you have a healthy middle class, you have a happy upper class, you have a happy lower class. When I say lower class, I mean fiscally lower class of people. Because the middle classes are the ones that create jobs. Not the wealthy generally don't. The wealthy generally hold on to their fucking money, and that's it. They don't really. They hoard it and they just save it and they don't let it grow and interest and that sort of thing. And they spend it on things that don't really matter to the middle class, like fucking jets and big old fucking houses and shit like that, and trips and vacations. And so it's not like that's going to trickle down to us. It's going to trickle down to trickle back up to them. So anyway, God, I'm sorry, I digress. But speaking about being LGBT and coming out to your family, coming out to your family, first of all, and having a conservative family is very difficult because, oftentimes it can not only be difficult because you have a difference of opinion, but it's just also can be dangerous for your life and your health to actually come out to your conservative family, especially if you're from the South or even from the North. If you have a really machismo type dad or something and you're a gay guy and you come out to your family and he may try to kill you or kick you out of the house or disown you, or your mother may be like ultra religious or whatever the case may be. And therefore it is, and oftentimes conservatism comes hand in hand with religiosity. So I think that it is important to remember that if before you do come out, you have a conservative family, to make sure you have your P's and Q's, in line, because you definitely don't want to be thrown out on the street or whatever. And of course, that's easier said than done. And if you can wait to come out, I'd wait until. If it's not safe to come out, don't come out. Wait until after you're graduated from high school or whatever, if you're young. Or if you're still living at home until you're not depending on your parents anymore, and you can support yourself, financially, because that truthfully is what you have to do in that situation. But I had a conservative family as well, but I think the difference was that I was already biracial and different anyway, and so when I came out, I was like, okay, I'm gay, big fucking deal. I didn't really give a fuck about what people thought. And my family had a hard time with it because they were raised Christian and, all that bullshit. And, a lot of them were Republican, not my mom, but, the rest of them. So it's difficult. But I think ultimately, if your family is voting for Trump in this election, it is incumbent upon you as a gay person, if you are out especially. And if you're not, you can couch it in other talk. You don't have to say anything about gay rights. But you need to mention to your family that voting for Trump is voting against you. And you need to make them understand why. If you can't tell them it's because you're gay, then you can tell them it's because you believe in equal rights, you believe in blah, 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 all the things that Trump doesn't believe in. So I think it's incumbent upon us to spread that word. And I think if you live somewhere where you're around a bunch of fucking Trump people, I'm sorry. I mean, I was driving home. I mean, I live in a pretty conservative community in North Dallas, a Preston Hollow area of Dallas. And it's very, I mean, it's got a huge range of property values, you know, like from like the 400s all the way up to like the $20 million mansions and stuff like that. I mean, in this area, the area is pretty wide. But anyway, because of that, there's a lot of disparity between, you know, political beliefs and that kind of thing. And however, generally speaking, it's relatively conservative up here, and most people up here vote Republican in this particular district, which is District 13 in Dallas. And because of that, you know, the other day I was driving back home, and just down the street, it was like Preston and Forest or whatever, I saw signs, all literally like 5 houses in a row, you know, on Forest Lane in Dallas, that had Trump signs, Trump pins, Trump pins, Trump pins, Trump pins, Trump pins, Trump pins. I was like, oh my fucking God. And every time I see one of those people, I'm like, what is wrong with you? What the fuck is your problem that you are so fucking stupid? You would vote for that man. I don't care how conservative you are, how much you hate gays, you hate blacks, you hate Mexicans, or whatever the fuck you're afraid of, because it's always about fucking fear. You need to vote for someone who has a fucking conscience and someone who has some respect for other people. I mean, even just leaving the political side of him out, you're left with a shell of a disgusting human being. I mean, you still, even if you keep the political part of it, he's still disgusting. And talked about how he'd like to fuck his daughter if she weren't his daughter, basically. And he's cheated on all of his wives, and he calls women fat all the time. He treats women badly and says you need to grab their fucking pussy if, you know, that's how you take care of a woman. I mean, it's just fucking insane that people would vote for a man who said all the fucking things he said anyway. And plus, at this fucking debate, he was still like the whole fucking time sniffing and shit like that. And Carrie Fisher, you know, Princess Leia from Star Wars, whom, if you know about her, if you read her biography in the 80s called Postcards from the Edge, also a movie with Meryl Streep and Shirley MacLaine, by the way. Her mother was Debbie Reynolds. It's about her struggle, Carrie's struggle with, you know, addiction and that kind of thing. Anyway, and she says that she recognizes a cokehead when she sees one. That's definitely cocaine. And something about his nose, and probably he's got a hole in his septum from all his cocaine and everything else. That's why he's always breathing like that. But anyway, she said she knows because she was definitely an expert. Anyway, I think it's probably true, but I don't even think, at this point, people who are voting for Trump, he couldn't fucking do anything wrong that they wouldn't vote for him, because people who hate Hillary hate her that much. And I can understand that you don't like Hillary Clinton because of whatever fucking reason it might be. I mean, you don't like her because she's Bill Clinton's wife, or because of things she said in the past about black people, or things she said in the past about gay people, or things she said in the past about, you know, whatever she said, you know. And I don't know, or, you know, whatever it is you don't like about her, or the fact that she's just not trustworthy, or whatever the fact is. And all that's, most of that's been debunked anyway, most of it. And even if you don't like her, okay, fine, you don't like her, you don't want people to vote for her, that's one thing. I understand that. You don't like her and you don't want to vote for her, fine. But the distinction is, we have a woman whom was First Lady, Secretary of State, a senator from New York State, and she's a Rhodes Scholar, I think, or something like that, and she was an attorney. I mean, she's incredibly intelligent, and all this other stuff she's done for our country, things she's actually accomplished and things she's done in politics. And you have Donald Trump, whom has had a reality show and has lost billions of dollars on real estate and really has made very little money ultimately from what he initially got, his $14 million loan from his father. So I don't understand how you can compare your hatred for Hillary with our hatred for Trump. because there is no comparison. Anyway, let's move on to something more light. Anyway, so I saw this story about there is this gay couple in Spain, and they're basically soccer stars there. They're like superstars, like David Beckham's of Spanish soccer, basically. And they're a couple. They're gay and they're a couple, and they actually, there was a video leaked of them having sex in a 3-way with another man by someone who took the video. I don't know who took the video, but anyway, it's a 17-second clip that surfaced on Twitter, and it was all over Tumblr or whatever, so you can see it if you look for it. Their names, by the way, are Sergi Enrich and Antonio Luna. Anyway, and so there's a video. Basically, Sergi is fucking Antonio, and this other guy is sucking off Antonio while Sergi fucks him. Anyway, that's basically what's happening, and it's like 17 seconds long. It's kind of sexy, but they're sexy guys. But so I was thinking, what is the deal with this kind of thing getting out there? And I talked about this briefly, I think last week, the week before, on KXYZ show with David, with Christian, and with Jason. And I don't think that, if you're taking a video of yourself with having sex with someone, that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if it doesn't get out, no big deal. But if you're someone who's famous and you take a sex video, it's going to get out. And so I don't understand why people who are famous continue to do this, knowing that they're famous and someone can profit from this getting out. And therefore, most likely, it will eventually get released. And so, and the fact that they're surprised is ridiculous. But whatever. I just think it's interesting. It was one of the very first gay sex tapes we've seen in a long time. We saw the one with Dustin Lance Black and with some other people I can't remember, but I think it's pretty. I think it's fine. And do you think that it tarnishes their reputation? I think it does. And if you're a straight guy, it probably makes them feel uncomfortable. But why would a straight guy be watching this video anyway? That's what I have to ask. There's also a place in Dallas that's called Oak Lawn, and Oak Lawn is, the gay area of Dallas, and it's been that way since I was like a teenager. Sorry, I needed a drink. It's been that way since I was a teenager. It's been the gay part of town, and when I was in the 90s, I came out when I was 15 to my family, and I started driving when I was 16, of course, on my own, and I started driving down to Oak Lawn just to be around gay people and stuff, and just to be in that ambiance, whatever. I never got out of the car hardly or anything because I was one time I did. One time I met some people online, and we all went down there and we hung outside of Big Daddy's, it was called at the time, the Spar. At the time, it's not there anymore. But anyway, it was very gay centric and gay. People would go there to meet other gay people, and things have changed so much because of the internet, of course, which I actually was a part of then. It was before the internet as we know it now, but I was in BBSs, and I was also on things like CompuServe and Prodigy, they were called then, and also one called US Videotel. They were precursors to the internet as we know it now. But anyway, most people connected with each other, by meeting each other in person, especially if you were gay. I mean, that's how you met other gay people, was by being around gay people wherever they hung out or whatever. And generally at the time it was in, Oak Lawn, and it was on Cedar Springs, which is the strip we call it here, which is where all the gay bars are. Most of them, not all of them. And it was a place that you could go and you could feel, comfortable and safe and whatever, for the most part. Anyway, so we fast forward to now, and things have changed so much because people were always on Tinder or Grindr or Scruff or whatever else there are out there, apps or online on sites or whatever, trying to hook up, and instead of just meeting each other. And I've noticed that people just have changed so much now. It's like now people are just so, it's just like let's fuck. It seems like what people want to do. And instead of before, in the 90s, you actually would go on dates and stuff. And so people who are single now really just, I feel sorry for you. I do, because honestly, I don't know how I would handle the way things are. Even the difference between 9 years ago when I met my husband and now is huge, because when I met him 9 years ago, Grindr, as I remember, did not even exist. Grindr didn't exist. Scruff didn't exist. None of that stuff existed. There were like sites like gay.com and Manhunt and things like that, but that was it. It wasn't like, it is now where it's instantaneous, like in your, half a mile radius there's sex or whatever. So you would actually go on dates and you would meet people or whatever. And it doesn't mean that there weren't times where you could just hook up with people, of course. But I mean, generally, it's just changed so much. It's just so weird to me. And I think there's something lacking now in connections we make with people. And I find it to be sad. I think that not just between people who are dating, but just whether it's friends or family or whatever. People that I talk to, like on my show, Gay XYZ show, by the way, Jason and Christian, we talk every week on our show. And so I know them quite well. And we've gone out once together, in, like a year, and done something together one time. That's it. And so I think it's, we have this friendship-ish type thing for the show or whatever, but we don't really hang out. We don't do anything together. So even though I've invited them to do things, they don't. Anyway, so I think it's interesting how we have this disconnection now. It seems people are more comfortable connecting online, and of course you are, because online you don't have to have anything out, put anything out there, put yourself out there, be vulnerable, or have any vulnerability really, because you're behind a computer screen. Whereas in person, you're vulnerable, and it's so different when you're looking in someone's eyes when you're talking to them than it is talking to a screen. And people may think it's the same thing, but it really isn't. It's really a completely different experience. And I know that to someone who says one thing to me one way on the computer screen, if they say it to me to my face, that there's a different reaction that I have to them, because I'm going to be a lot less, cautious about what I'm saying online than I am in person, because people just have a hard time being a complete asshole unless you just are a complete asshole in person. It's easier to be that way on the phone or on an app. So I think it's sad that we've lost that kind of connection with people, and I think we need to get it back. And I think as a community, as a gay community, we really are missing that camaraderie. I know I am. I know that I have I have a handful of gay friends, and that's it, and that's fine. But sometimes I long to be more involved again in the gay community and that sort of thing. And doing volunteering or something like that. But the truth is, and I've said this before as well, every time I've done that sort of thing, I've tried to get involved in my community, whether it's a gay thing or not. Somehow there's so much fucking infighting, and people are just assholes, and there's drama, especially when they get a fucking bunch of gay guys together. It's like fucking crazy shit. And so, unless you get the right, perfect group of gay guys together, there's going to be a ton of fucking drama all the goddamn time. Trust me on that. You think girls are bad? Gay guys are fucking horrible. So, if you have the wrong mix of gays, then that's what happens. It doesn't mean that they're all that way or we're all that way. It just means that generally there's something about it where you get lots of gay guys together, we fucking lose our fucking minds. I don't know why. And it's sad, but that seems to be my experience. It may not be yours, but I think maybe I just am very, I don't want to put up with people's bullshit, and there's so much fucking bullshit out there that I just give up. So anyway, that's how I feel about that. I think it's sad, but it is what it is. So this week, we're going to, oh, by the way, I don't know if you listened to my show last week or not. If you did, I did talk about my book coming up in June next year. I want you to be part of it, and I want you to come to the party in June next year. I think it should be June anyway. And participate in the fun with drinks and laughter and my book. So I think it'll be a fun event. So if you're in the Dallas area then, or if you live here, then definitely check that out, because I want you to be part of it, because it will be fun. Anyway, Halloween's coming up soon, and I never do anything for Halloween. It is just sort of we don't even have trick-or-treaters anymore, because it's like fucking, why do we even bother? I think all the kids in our neighborhood have grown up. 10 years ago, there were some kids left, but now they've all grown up and gone away. And so now it's just like all adults, basically. I mean, there's some little bitty kids, but not like, the trick-or-treat kid ages or whatever, age kids. So we don't ever do candy or anything anymore. So it's kind of sad, because I used to love doing that, handing candy out, seeing the costumes and everything, little kids. It was fun. But anyway, so now I think this year, though, we're just going to do Christmas lights, because we haven't done that in like 5 years. because it's like a fucking hassle. It's fucking crazy. And this is the kind of stuff you talk about when you're my age. You don't talk about going out, watching shit or whatever. Now it's just like, mundane shit like hanging Christmas lights, putting in a new door, or buying a new car, or whatever. Bullshit like that. That's not really very exciting for people other than yourself. But so that's what we're doing this year. We're just going to do that kind of crap. And then I think for Thanksgiving, we're just going to have a small thing this year again, because our family, most of my family's died except for my mother, and most of my family's older. And the ones that weren't, I don't talk to. I don't like them because they're all assholes. And they live somewhere else, like California or New York or whatever. So I don't even talk to them anyway. So it's just my mom and my husband and my best friend and another good friend of ours, and that's it. This Christmas or this Thanksgiving. So if you need a place to go for Thanksgiving, let me know. Maybe I'll invite you over. Of course, my place is not done inside, but anyway, you can come over anyway. So that's all I have to say. I guess I'm just rambling now. So I will end the show. I just wanted to say thanks for listening to the show and listening to me ramble about politics. And I hope you will get out and vote this year. Please, for God's sakes, vote. If you ever are going to vote, this is the fucking election to do it. It's more important than I think it's ever been this year. And I really hope you vote for Hillary Clinton. If you don't vote, you're an asshole. If you vote for Donald Trump, you're a fucking moron. And if you vote for Hillary Clinton, I thank you. So I'll be back next week with another Offlimits show. Thanks for listening, and have a good night.